Stream's not about you, Dad. What are you doing here? The intro music, you like it? Def, not another Heather. What's up? Where's your Sunrise on the Reaping fan audition? Ovi did one. The wrong mic again? Por qué? Why? It's so weird. Alright, that should fix it. Hi, is that fine? Audio's fine? Nah, you just don't know what fine actually means. Hello. We started off the stream with gifted subs. Vibes are great. Are you back in your Poppy era? This is Sunsip. There's like a million different companies trying to do what Poppy did. And they're all going to kill me slowly. Oh my goodness, Matt, thanks for the 18 months. We're going to talk about a lot of Matt today. Chaotic Bouncer for the 17 months. And then Jerry Bob Phil. It's good to see you. 5 gifted. Are you crazy? What is wrong with you? Is that a misclick? I appreciate it. Thanks, Jerry, for the gifties. I appreciate it. The vibes are great. Gifted for killing it on the AMA. I will say, if this was my payment for the AMA, I am way below minimum wage. I think I sat answering questions on my laptop from like 3 p.m. to about 10:30, and I answered like 6 or 7 more today. But it was literally 7 to 8 hours. You work out and rehydrate with soda? Okay, let me talk about what I did today. I went to the store and I got some ramen. I forget exactly the brand, but it's like one of the most popular brands of ramen you'll see. Not like the Maruchan or Maruchan, whatever it is. It was the I don't know, like the spicy one, right? And then I drained all the water and just mixed the spice packet in with the noodles, and it fucked me up. Genuinely, it hurt so bad. It was, Shin Black, exactly. It was so fucking spicy. Because it's supposed to, like, I guess, dilute with the water to make a broth with the noodles. And I was like, I just want the noodles. And it was so fucking spicy. So, like, miserably spicy that I had a protein shake that I was planning to do after the gym, before the gym. Because it was just like milk. Soda is literally death in liquid form. Might as well drink gasoline. Hey. You've come to the wrong audience. You've come to the wrong place. Maybe Quinn streaming, you know? This is a soda stan account. Short stream? Not necessarily. I mean, it won't be the longest stream ever, but I got to be out by 8 Central, so about an hour and 15 minutes for Love Island. That's a little bit better. I'm also doing some genius podcasting today, so I got to carve out space for that. No hating on soda. Literally, it's the most healthy drink. Especially the Sunsip. Only 5 grams of sugar. Not a soda hater, but after the gym is insane. I just needed a cold, refreshing beverage. Also, why do you guys think I went to the gym? I'm just hanging out. I eat shit all the time and I think it was crazy spicy. It's fine if you eat it how intended. For me, it was just the amount of spice to the noodles was disproportionate. We get your thoughts on Love Island? I don't know. I don't have many thoughts yet. So far, I think the premiere was a little bit dry, but it's fine. They'll figure it out. The hair is a dead giveaway. Well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I have done a lot of Big Brother thinking over the past 24 hours as a result of the AMA. So I have some thoughts. We'll go through the Reddit, and then we'll go through the AMA, tackle what I think were the most interesting questions. I'm not trying to relitigate BB25 here, but there's some interesting stuff asked that I think we haven't addressed head-on, perhaps. But my problem with Love Island in general is, like, I just can't relate, I think. All the, like, just Instagram influencers and, like, all the kissing and making out challenges, they just do nothing for me. And I think what is particularly tough about Love Island, and, like, Love Island 6, for what it's worth, seems to have produced a lot of real couples. At least couples that have been together for a long time. it just feels like everyone is so desperate to become influencers, which makes sense, especially coming off of Love Island season 6. And that's not unique to Love Island, but I think Love Island specifically seeks out these people. And I think that could be a little bit annoying. UK is better, I've heard. But, I mean, Love Island 6 was awesome. I'm not a hater. It's to watch shitty people be shitty. It's the whole point. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't think a lot of them are shitty. Like, when people on Love Island cheat on each other, it's like, dude, they've known each other for 6 days, and none of these relationships are real. You know, like, there's certainly, like, you can see people, like, gaslight each other and then judge people as a result of that. But I just think acting like it's like a JoJo Siwa situation, it's just not, you know? I think every show is casting so many influencers, it's all they care about. Well, there's not exactly Love Island super fans on the cast, you know what I mean? Like, I do think there's a difference in the demographics. What's up, Nathan? Oilers in 5 seems unlikely. I like watching people fall in love, and I believe in it. But, hey, more power to you. Is the winner who gets the most people? That would be a funny bit. That would be an interesting... I wonder what the metagame would be. Would it just be like, stand up and be like, who's wants to? Because everyone would mutually benefit from hooking up with each other, because that raises everyone's totals. It's interesting. And it's like the mole, like one person has an STD. It's almost like the zombie game, if you guys watch The Genius. The only way to get the antidote is to do a sexy dance. You know, that's what Love Island would do. Did I just come up with the idea for a new show? I think so. I don't think I've seen like, there's Temptation Island and there's Too Hot to Handle and stuff. I think yours is pretty different, where you're incentivized to fuck as much as you can. That's just called real life single dating. Chiara, you're a freak. I don't know how else to say it. I was single for a long time. That was not my experience. But, you know, hey, more power to you. You go. You're married. I'm not saying, you know, in the present. Group makeouts remind everyone of the good old days, right? Is my chat full of, like, people who were just, like, sexual deviants in college, high school, the aftermath? And now everyone's settled down and is sitting watching the Twitch stream with their significant others and their kids on their laps? Like, is that what's happening? It's Heather, gifted 3 months of tier 1 subs to Y2 Clay. Interesting. I've never seen someone gift 3 months to someone else, but there you go. Interesting. I appreciate it. It feels like a mistake. Yeah, it was kind of my impression. Maybe it was intended to gift 3 subs, or maybe Heather and Clay have something going on. That's my sugar mama. Okay. So this is what I'm talking about when I'm mentioning the sexual deviance of my chat. It's pretty good. The stream's off to a funny start. Good, because it's about to get serious. The joke segment of this stream is rapidly ending. Because I'm about to read a question that's like, why do you vote for Jag over Matt? And then the vibes will diminish. I'm going to start, like, defending Bowie Jane. Uh-oh. I'm sure the mafia talk would be very fun. People don't understand my perspective. I'm not saying they didn't do anything wrong. I'm saying everyone deserves more hate and you should get into their DMs and knock on their doors. Isn't that a clear perspective? Do you guys understand? Do you follow? Is that more clear the way I phrased it this time? I want everyone to deal with more social media harassment, including me. Please DM me and find creative ways to DM me. Twitter doesn't work anymore. You guys find me on PictoChat. If I get to go kill yourself on Meverse, I might do it. So, just here's the thing. Step up your game. That's my point. That's all I'm going to say. Step up your game. Texting doesn't work. Good idea. Let me give you guys my number. This will help. Get the real mafia involved. I like the idea of, like, Al Capone competing against Jag and BB Comics. So who's the real mafia? And losing. Oh, he'd get smoked. I think Suri and Felicia, can we talk about it for a second? They killed it in BB Comics. They all would have gotten like top 2 on BB26. The fact that Suri put up like a 19-minute time or 17 minutes and Felicia put up whatever, what a performance. I think they should have had a handicap system on BB25 where like Suri or Felicia had like a 5-minute head start on Jag and I had like a 1-minute head, because if this was like net in golf, there's gross and net. Gross is just your score. Net is putting the handicap into perspective. I think honestly, like the person who performed the best relative to expectations is probably America, but second and third was Felicia Suri, 100%. Jag might have underperformed. I think Jag does that comp again. He gets 7 minutes. BB Comics being the HOH for Invisible HOH is still crazy. Then we walk out for the veto, and it's like upper body strength holding a rope. Wah, wah. BB Cupid games, I need you in America on PEDs. So this was a question, Quinn, I was asked in my AMA, and it made me so sad. It was like, Cory, if you in America could compete against any other Big Brother couple in like a battle of the block situation, who would you want to compete against and what comp? And I was like, I don't think I can think of a scenario where we're favored. Like, what is the worst BB showmancing competitions in history? Is it me in America? I said Matt and Raven. I think we'd have the best shot against. But, like, I'm not certain we win that. I think we do, especially if there's, like, a mental component. But generally speaking, like, it's kind of a tough spot we're in. Mark and Elena. I think Mark and Elena are probably better than Matt and Raven, right? I remember Mark being a bit of a comp beast, at least a little bit. Kyle and Alyssa never won anything. At least you won a double HOH. Just look at me straight in the eye and tell me you think Kyle and Alyssa are worse competitors than me in America. If you can do that, I'm down. I'll believe it, sure. I think America's probably a little better than Alyssa, but you think I'm better than Kyle? Like, Kyle at least had to compete against, like, Michael, I had to compete against Jag, I guess, but... Do you actually think you suck at comps or just went against Jag, Cam, Jared? I think I'm fine at comps. I think if you ranked every player in Big Brother history, I am in the top 50% of competition people. But I'm not in the top 40%. Like, I'm maybe slightly above average. But, like, that's less of a testament to me and more of a testament to everyone else. There's a lot of people who I just have a physiological edge on. Quinn's one of those people. You beat him mentally and America beats Alyssa and physically. The problem is, if it is very physical, Kyle beats both of us. Like, single-handedly. Here's the thing. Okay, let's say Quinn wins HOH. Nominates me, America, Kyle, and Alyssa. We go into Battle of the Block. We walk outside. It's a TikTok battle. Imagine that twist. TikTok Battle of the Block. Oh my God. You bring back Casey, Bowie Jane, Jag, Kyle, the Muppet, Kermit the Frog, Kyland. Oh no. I think Kyle probably wins the season in that case. Ash Trevino, throw her in the house. They've done this twice. Just having, like, audience votes, basically. Yeah. Bowie Jane's taking it. There would be some beef with all the agency drama. It'd be interesting. It would certainly be interesting. America still wins, you think? Maybe. I don't know. Once you get the casuals involved, it gets dicey. Winner Survivor Gen Z versus Millennials? That's funny. I mean, we could do it now. The ages line up. America would win the TikTok battle. People would just spam if y'all were still together. I think you underestimate how much the casuals remember us in general. Did you guys make your Smirnoff preparadas yet? No, but we have the materials, so that should be a tonight activity. Okay. Let's go through the Reddit. Anything interesting? Giesling traders, lock in. We're moving. I did get a Quinn question in my AMA. And sorry, I'm a little sniffly. I'm going to try to mute when I like blow my nose and stuff. But here we go. Uh-oh. Not Frenchie Big Brother. I will say, the Big D attempts, we'll do one of them today. Just one of them. Getting switched to, yes. Top 10 players to never win. All right, Giesling traders, what do you got? Eric Stein. I don't think it's reasonable to put Eric number one compared to some of these other people. I love Eric. It's just, Tyler. I think Tyler's probably my number one answer. And then Vanessa's probably my number two answer. Probably. But Eric's in the top 5, probably, top 6, something like that. Jason, Danielle, Paul, Karen, Tiffany, Shelly. I think this seems a little bit overrated to me. And Roddy is just your favorite player, so I'm not going to dwell too much on that. America's MVP. How does the same population that voted Alyssa into Power Weeks 3 in a row turn around and put her on the block when they became MVP? It doesn't make sense. It's because they don't understand. The electorate is not educated, is the answer. They thought they were probably just voting for the MVP again. Is that what they said? Yeah. Yeah, that's the answer. Favorite AFP? Who's the all-time AFP? If we did a vote, I think it's Jeff Schroeder. I think Donnie. Actually, Donnie could beat Jeff. I'll be real. I think Donnie beats Jeff. I mean, Janelle probably had, like, the biggest stretch of, like, 2 seasons. She was the best. But I just think at this, like, Jeff versus Janelle in the eyes of casuals, I don't think is close. I think Jeff is much more beloved because he has the secret superpower of being a man. And the Jeff and Jordan of it all. Like, I think Jeff clears that. But Donnie's lightning in a bottle. Yeah, Donnie got a ton of the votes, and that season had a lot of candidates. Zach Rance, of course, is there to get a lot of votes. Frankie probably had a contingent. Of course, there's Nicole Franzel, who gets top 3. Like, and in that season, Nicole Franzel was a fan favorite. It wasn't like, how people perceive her now. So, like, I think Donnie could carry a vote against a lot of people, even if he doesn't have that legend status that some of these other people have. Ariana was campaigning for Zach. It was so funny. I like that. Not just a man, but a white Republican man. Hey, I don't like talking politics in the stream. 11th best Big Brother player. I love Reddit. Mine is Nicole Franzel. Come on. How is Franzel not top 10? Yeah, I would think it'd be someone like Paul, Tyler, Vanessa, like someone like that. Some winner who's just outside the edge. Is BB16 still worth watching? No. I don't know. I think it's pretty fun on the episodes, BB16. A lot of fun characters. I think sometimes it's too criticized that season. There's a lot of steamrolls. I think this is a steamroll with at least some decent personalities. Some drama, even if it's like manufactured fake drama. And the early game's kind of fun. I like the first 3-4 weeks. Oh, I gotta blow my nose. I'm sorry, guys. I feel like this is disgusting as a listener. Disgusting. Okay. Can we admit Shelley's snowing of Jordan was just masterful? I don't remember, but I don't care. I think this is interesting. mccrae will be doing a tell-all BB15 watch-along starting tonight on Twitch. I don't know how I feel about the branding of the stream being like the canceled season of Big Brother. You know what I mean? How'd the stream do? I heard there was a lot of guests and people popping up. mccrae tell-all. Again, I don't remember the specifics of exactly all the conversations going down in BB15. I remember not being super anti-mccrae. I don't think he was the main perpetrator or anything. Of course, he's in a showmance with Amanda, which is a little bit but I think the branding of this is funny. It's odd. Here's a Reddit post. If all the feeds from every season were all put back on a website and could be watched now, which player would be canceled today that wasn't? It's just a different time. I mean, Janelle would be perceived very differently, of course. But I think in more recent seasons, she doesn't act that same way when she's been on. So, like, I think it's just hard to say. I always think it's like a kind of fucked up question. 75 viewers average? That's pretty good. That's a solid number. Thoughts on getting booed during the eviction? Generally speaking, I don't like booing during an eviction because the producers have control over who's liked and who's disliked. Like on our season, who would have gotten booed? Who had a chance of getting booed? Jared, maybe. I think perhaps Heisem probably gets booed. And maybe even Izzy, but I don't know if Izzy had enough screen time to become a villain. Whereas like Cameron would get the biggest cheers. You know, like that's just... I just don't trust these audiences to boo the right people. You know what I mean? Don't they have applause signs now? I'm not sure. I've never been. I didn't notice anything dramatic when I was there for the finale or for my eviction. Janelle and Trump 2025, America won't be perceived much differently. Yeah. I don't really remember Jared and Izzy hate outside of Twitter, TBH. I think Jared was pretty universally despised. I think most people were kind of indifferent on Izzy, if not a little bit negative, just because she was like the anti-Cameron force, you know? I'm struggling, guys. I'm scared to see Cam on the cruise. He's fine. He's not a big make a scene kind of guy. At least in the house, you know. Maybe he'll pop off. I don't know. Whoa, mccrae, easy with that. What else do we got? Best season to get someone hooked? Probably BB10, right? Is there any other season that sticks out? All right, AmA. Let's do it. I'm gonna go through the top questions, which is the ones that got the most upvotes. I'll talk about my answer and then elaborate if I think there's something that needs to be elaborated on. But before that, I'm going to blow my nose. Bye-bye. I'll be right back. Locke is so menacing. Nah, it's Kenny. Yeah, you're right, Katie. Oh no, Rune Queen, you're right. I watched an interview with Cam Film last week, and he said the reason no one cheered when he won HOH because nobody knew what to do because it was live and not because he won. True statement from him. I'm surprised he's doing interviews. I think that's part of it, for what it's worth. I think it's a small part of it, but I think in most circumstances people would pretend more. You know what I mean? It was BB's death. Well, at least we have a real journalist on the scene. BB's death about the careers. I might have to. We might have to live react to it. I'm kidding. I would never. Okay. How nervous were you that you would be the first boot like Zach? I said I was absolutely terrified. So, I think the going into the game, I knew like being out early was kind of on the board for a player like me, right? Like it usually takes a couple weeks for my archetype to gain its footing. I thought I'd be in a better spot because I do think I'm less obviously the nerd archetype than like a Steve or Ian, even if that's who I am, obviously. But then I'm on the block immediately, and I was like, whoa, it's over. I remember going to bed in the Humiliverse one night. I'm like, oh, what the fuck am I supposed to do? This feels cooked. I feel like I'm being isolated. Nothing's working. It wasn't until Riley won HOH where I'm like, I might be able to make something work here and stay in this game. And Yeah. So again, thanks, Riley, coming through for me. The GOAT. People celebrated other live wins. Go back and watch Bowie's HOH win. Well, Bowie was different because everyone was genuinely thrilled for Bowie because they thought they were safe. Like, I get what you're saying. Like, the reason people didn't cheer for Cam was because they didn't like Cam. But, like, I do think in other times that Cam won, people pretended. Like, Cam coming back from pressure cooker, everyone was celebrating, you know? So, yeah, I was scared about this, but it worked out. All right, a lot of questions. How far does it take for you to sort of forget about being watched by cameras? I was never able to forget. I got asked this question a million times. I could never forget anything. You'd forget for a second, and then you'd hear it, zzz, the camera like turns, and then you remember, or you'd look down, see your mic, or you feel your mic pack, and it's just a reminder, and you can never like break free from that matrix. If you had to explain Suri's miss as best you could in concrete terms, how does she do it? I think what Suri is so good at is like breaking down walls between two people. Like it never feels forced, a conversation you have with Suri. It just feels natural, and it feels like you're in the inner circle. Like she'll like lightly talk shit about other people with you, which makes you feel like, oh, she's willing to say this to me. Clearly we're quite close. When the reality is no one really just rats Suri out. Because, again, they think they're in that inner circle. It'd be like ratting out a close ally, when the truth is her only close ally is herself and her son and her daughter. Like, RC's was a little weird. But in conversation, she's also just a big listener. And you could tell, like, it's a very intentional thing she does in the house of just, like, not talking that much in conversation. Because outside of that, she was talking a ton. Like, in the jury house, she would, like, kind of dominate conversations. And even when I hung out with her that one time outside of the house, she was definitely dominating the conversation. So it is like an intentional thing, not just, how she is. No one ratted her out but Jared. I mean, there was a few weeks there where everyone was ratting her out. But, yeah, Jared's probably the biggest culprit. Is it true she spent a lot of time in jury making it very clear she wasn't a huge fan of the experience? I mean, I don't think she did more so in jury than she did in the house. Like in the house, I think she was complaining more, but in jury, she was able to just isolate herself, which again, I get. I don't blame her. But I think there was less complaining. She was just like not as nice in jury because she didn't have to fake it and pretend, and she didn't have to worry about winning the game. So she was like pretty rude, frankly, at least to me. But I never took it personally, and I still don't. I think it's just like she was just over it. So whatever, it's fine. Again, I want to be please don't be fucking annoying, chat. Just I'm being preemptive about this. Like I'm not trying to re-stir up drama. It doesn't matter. I don't think everyone's either forgiven each other or they don't care and have just gone their separate ways. Relitigating it is mostly for entertainment. Or just for like the sake of discussion. I just want to keep that in mind. I understand it could be like, well, you're talking about this 2 years after the fact. Why are you relitigating all this bullshit? It's like, well, I'm doing an AMA and I'm answering questions. On the podcast, I was talking about my AMA. Like, it's just we're discussing the season, and that's the extent of it. I'm not asking you guys to hold anyone accountable. Like, I don't care. But yeah, so in jury, she was definitely over it. But she'd play Big Brother again. I have full confidence. If they called her for All Stars 3, I think she says yes. Granted, she doesn't have another opportunity around the corner, What did I think of Matt saying me and America were related? I thought it was funny as hell. I don't know. I didn't know all the negativity surrounding that and surrounding Matt, how he viewed us and talked about us. But like in the moment, I thought it was funny. Knowing where that thought came from makes it less funny, but yeah. And then it has me about Amanda Kimmel. Apparently it's some meme. It's over my head. I always wanted to ask, during lockdown, did they turn the TV in the HOH room off? Yeah, they do, but sometimes they would keep them on by accident, and then Bowie would ruin it. Kind of a fun Easter egg. During that HOH that Cameron ends up winning, Name That Toot, they have the teleprompter up for Matt, and that's also what is going to end up showing the actual video with the toots, I suppose. And they accidentally had the episode on. Like the Big Brother 25 episode, with like commercials. And I was like, how did they make this mistake? Like, how does this happen? It was weird. And then that's one where Bowie was like, guys, I think Bowie was probably scared of like something that she said coming out. Maybe it's because she was just blindsided that she was like, I want to make sure people don't think I was on the wrong side of the vote or something. So that was crazy. Like, they could have, like, imagine that's where the Suri Jared secret comes out. That's like a beyond fireable offense for half of these, production members. Can't even escape ads in the BB house, literally. Did it have subtitles? I don't think the episode did, but. So yeah, this is funny. Hey, Cory, big fan. One thing that always bothers me about BB is how the players are oblivious to house dynamics. It seems so obvious to viewers. Were there any house dynamics that we viewers didn't see or you felt weren't highlighted enough? I think it's a great question. Any question that has me write out an answer this long, I'm like, that's pretty good. First thing I talked about was Mimi and Blue. I just think, like, even in my deep dive, I didn't really discuss this. Like, there was this idea in the house that Mimi and Blue got super close, and that was a huge reason why I was happy with taking Mimi out. I still don't know to this day who Mimi nominates. I mean, she would say Matt and Jag. We'll see. I think there'd be a lot of people in her ear telling her not to nominate Matt. And she was always willing to put me up, so I don't know how that would have worked out. And like, Blue was going to bat for Mimi so hard. I'm like, why am I going to empower Blue? Like, even if Mimi's not going to work with me, she's going to work with Blue. Blue hates me. Like, there's a lot of things that made sense to me about evicting Mimi. It's just like, even with all this information, if my reads were perfectly correct, it's still good to keep Mimi just as a shield, essentially. But we've talked about that before. Foolish is another one. This is mostly in the live feed updates, and I understand the assumption. It's the same assumption people had about Cam last year of just drastically overestimating someone's jury chances. Like, my impression, like the vibe with Felicia in the second after she stays over Mimi is she's dead in the water. She's the ultimate GOAT. Anyone who goes to the final two with her probably wins unanimously. Maybe, she gets a couple votes, but the idea that she commanded respect because of how she carried herself and her age. First of all, how she carried herself was, like, I think closer to Angela than it was Suri, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, people didn't respect, like, people respected how she was playing hard, but it was always viewed as, like, self-destructive. And I think that was the main problem with Felicia, is, like, no one thought she was playing self-interestedly, which is kind of crazy. Suri is another one where she was, like, respected in the house, but not as, like, her game wasn't respected as much as people respected it outside the house, which I understand, because, like, outside the house, people saw all these things that she was doing, but none of them ended up mattering, obviously, because of competitions, and, like, it's kind of question. Like, the philosophy was Suri's being dragged to the end because she's bad at competitions, and that is exactly what happened. There's alternate worlds where, like, Matt maybe wins that veto, and maybe Suri makes it a little bit further and convinces Matt to take her to the final two. Like, she wasn't doing nothing. It's just the game was very simple at that point with comps, and, like, I don't think that read of Suri was wrong. It was maybe just discounting some of the social work she was doing that ultimately ended up being futile. It's always interesting to think if Suri was doing a final two speech, would she be able to beat anyone? Oh, she'd be able to beat a ton of people. A ton of people. I mean, I think she would struggle against Matt and Jag and probably beat everyone else and maybe have a tough time against me. But even against me, like, she gets Matt for sure. Gets Felicia for sure. She gets Blue for sure. I might run the table. I probably get Bowie. I probably get Jag. I probably get America. And it comes down to Cameron. And Cameron definitely votes for Suri. So I think it's like a 4-3 loss almost every time in that world. So, like, granted, I would never take Suri to the end, and Suri would never take me to the end. But she beats probably everyone except the boys. And against Matt, I just think she loses. I think she has a chance, but I think she loses. AmA. Who's to say, though? The other thing is, like, I think she weirdly has a better shot against Jag, or a better shot against, Jag than Matt, even though Jag beat Matt, just because, like, she'd get Matt's vote there, whereas Jag would never vote for her. So, who would win between Suri and Jared? Suri. If Suri tried to give it to him, we'd probably still vote for Suri. Jared did not have goodwill in that house. Do you think Matt's vote Suri over Jag? Probably, because it would probably mean, like, he was cut by Jag. But how the fuck does Jag and Suri end up in the final two? Like, that's another just total hypothetical fan fiction. And then there was this, which I think a lot of people have talked about, especially on the Patreon, because we mentioned it on the podcast. The idea that Jag and Bowie inexplicably disliked Suri is kind of laughable. Like, Suri was not a fan of Jag at all. Maybe, and made that very clear, and it wasn't always super game-related. Basically, they were just beefing with each other, which is fine. And I don't know how you can watch the Suri-Bowie dynamic and think that's Bowie's fault. I can totally understand the perspective of, like, when people talk about what Jag, Matt, and Bowie and how they treated Suri and Felicia, me bringing up how Suri and Felicia treated specifically Jag and Bowie at times is like a deflection where it might seem like I'm defending them. And it's like, okay, I get that. And that might be true to some capacity, but I think it is like just also what happened and its context. And I think I heard this a lot on the RHAP network, who of course is biased towards Suri, which I get. It's a Survivor-based podcast, and these are all Survivor fans, every live feed update person. But there's a lot of like, why is Jag bitter towards Suri? We know exactly why Jag was bitter towards Suri. Calling it bullying, I think, is a little silly at times, especially when a lot of that stuff at that point was like kind of game-related. But like, Suri didn't like Jag. Suri said shit about Jag she shouldn't have said. So did Jared. The stuff they said about Bowie was much worse. I don't, like, they just dislike each other. You know what I mean? I think the plan to terrorize Felicia at the Final Four was insane. They didn't do it, thankfully. And I understand, like, how frustrating it is for, like, these three comp beasts to be high and mighty and talk down on the older women downstairs. Like, I get the aesthetic and how that looks, and it's wrong. I get that. I just think, like, I have enough respect for Suri and Felicia to know they're not, like, powerless victims. They're, like, two of the strongest-willed people in the house, and they said a ton of shit about a ton of people, you know? So I just don't want to act like we have the victims and the perpetrators. Like, I hope we know it's not that. I hope that the nuance exists there, but I also get how it's like more top of mind, this stuff that happened, especially because those people ended up winning. But that's the whole point of what I was trying to say. Like, that was it. I'm not trying to like both sides it. I'm just trying to tell you guys what the fuck happened. And of course, people are going to be willing to give a pass to the people they like more. That happens. If people thought, oh, Cory's being a little microaggression to you right now, I'm sure a lot of you guys would jump to defend me. You know? And I guess I appreciate it, but like, it is, if that was a player you hated, I'm sure you'd be much more willing to be like, well, that probably shouldn't have been said, which I think is fair. So like, it's a natural human thing to do that, to defend your favorites. I just think like, we can all zoom out sometimes, and I'm a little bit biased too, but like, I feel like I have a pretty good idea of the big picture, and I try to talk about it fairly, you know? Felicia probably said the most about anyone. Yeah, and look, I want to say, like, context does matter in certain spots where, like, the way that Angela yelled at Matt in week 1 would be a different situation if Matt yelled at Angela that way. And it was the same exact words. Like, that would be different because of the social dynamics and just, like, the way society works. And I don't think you can both sides that one. Like, I understand that perspective, too. It's just, like, I think especially when the scales balance the way that they were between the Mafia and them, it's like there was a lot of hate to go around, you know? And then people like have the audacity to be like, Cory, you know, they also talk shit about you in America. Like, you think I don't know that? Like, I'm not talking about that now. Like, I am very, very proud of myself for not saying mean shit in the house. If you gathered up the worst and meanest moments of Cory's Big Brother time, there wasn't that much, which is why, and same with America, which is why when you like see all the comments against us, it's like, damn, for what? You know, like, I don't know where some of these vendettas formed. I do know where, like, Matt and Cam's vendettas formed, you know. Like, that's like a life of living in a patriarchal society. I don't know. America talks shit about Mimi's salad. Look, and America has apologized 10 times over for that. I mean, she was in the wrong, frankly. She's still working every day to repair that relationship. If I'm Mimi, I wouldn't forgive America, because that is a line that I wouldn't cross. But you know what? America's a straight shooter. That's why we love her. That's all. I think that them isolating Suri and Felicia is lame. I think them talking shit about me in America is very lame. I think the way that some people even talked about Cameron, like, there's no reason to body shame Cameron. That's weird to me. And that was happening a lot in the house. Was lame. And I just, like, here's a good example. Matt Klotz. I don't like that guy. Also, what Jared talked about in regards to his disability in the Humiliverse was wrong, and we should all defend Matt in that scenario, in that capacity, while still acknowledging who Matt is. Like, I don't know. I think that's just an example of, like, just evaluate each situation for what happened, not who was doing it. And who they are adds context. I get that, but it's just, you know, I don't think it's as simple as a lot of people want to make it. This I thought was a hilarious interaction. Who's your favorite BB21 alum and you can't say Over Your Cliff? Which I find this weird, because I wasn't going to say Over Your Cliff. I like Ovi. I've DM'd with Ovi, but, like, we've never hung out or anything. And Cliff, I like Cliff's game a lot. I enjoy how he's so engaged in the community still. I think that's super dope. But I've never met the dude. So this is funny. And then I said Tommy, Kat, Jessica are also sweet. I know Kat the best, so I'll say her, but I love the other two, which is true. All three of these people I've had nothing but wonderful interactions with. And then I realized Kat Dunn is asking the question. So I answered the question correctly without knowing all the information. This is a classic case of me going to Jared and being like, Jared, I think Suri is who we should bring to the final three. Which was strategic in some ways in terms of just not trying to shit talk Suri, but I definitely lucked out in terms of who I told that to. It even had her verified. I was in a daze. I was answering questions for 8 hours. Yeah, so LOL, she got me too. Yeah. Could you hear the multiverse orbs make the pulsating sounds we hear on TV? Great question. Love that question. I said, yup, and it sounded like the crockpot pussy. Wah, wah, wah. It was definitely a bit of a meme in the house, just the sound. Are you still in touch with everyone from your cast? What is your favorite archetype on BB? No. You guys know who I'm in touch with. But my favorite archetype, I think the superfan archetype is the best. I hate when people online talk about, like, oh my god, an all superfan season would be terrible. Which, like, I don't think you should cast like that. You know, like, you should have a diversity of just, like, vibes in the house. But, like, superfan casting doesn't miss. Like, who is the misses of superfans? I guess Joseph. I think, like, casting would be like that. Probably didn't do exactly what we wanted it to do. But, like, Quinn was a star of the season. I think they would view me as a hit. I think they would view Michael as a hit, despite some of the weirdness, I guess. Daniel Durston is not, like, a normal superfan casting. But, like, generally speaking, when they cast superfans, it works out. Like, they're very rarely, like, first of all, they're very rarely problematic, but more importantly, they're very rarely, like, duds. Joseph Shane, I mean, you know, I'm trying to be real, right? So. Trailer Park Elvis and not a super fan? Well, more of a super fan than most. I maintain that casting more fans slash super fans allows the game strategy to evolve instead of staying stagnant. Yeah, the problem is, like, there is an argument of super fans play more optimally, and more optimal equals bad in terms of entertainment a lot of times, but, like, most super fans don't play optimally. Quinn did not play optimally. I did not play optimally. Like, Thank you, Anonymous. I appreciate it. I think that force is counterbalanced by superfans wanting to make big moves in like big moments and stuff. So, but I appreciate it, Anonymous. Thank you. 5 gifties. Every time I talk about Matt Klotz, people gift subs. We're about to do a Matt Klotz deep dive next stream. But thank you, Anonymous. What a guy. You need at least 2 people who do crazy shit in the game just for fun. I disagree with that. Doing it just for fun is lame and performative, and I don't enjoy it. Doing it because you think it's the right move, even though it's not, that's fire. No complaints there. We love Matt bashing. Ooh, you're not going to like the Matt praise coming up. Okay. Hi, Cory. Big fan. Please tell Queen America I say hi. Will do. How do they get you all up on the wall comp? I like weird questions like this. They have a ladder, like a steep staircase. Then you shuffle down. People always... I hate when BBLM speaks so definitively on topics. Because, like, I remember, I don't know if it was Taylor or someone from a previous season who was like, maybe it was Claire, like, the wall comp, you pick your spot. We didn't pick our spots. We drew numbers, and Jared got the lucky number. Quinn, I think, was allowed to pick his spot. It was kind of arbitrary in our season. We had to draw lots, but yeah. It was random luck of the draw who went where. So, did being on the show make you love it more or less? Definitely more. It got me more involved. But I also had a positive experience where most people don't. If you could pick one season you'd play on, 17, talked about it a lot of times. I think it'd be similar to 25, just without the Suri, Jared, Izzy, like, contingent would be a little bit too intense. So, like, just swapping out Vanessa for that would be fun. That wall order was random on 26. See, I don't think it was random because didn't Quinn say he specifically wanted the last spot and, like, argued with Angela for it, and then he got it as a result? I'm pretty sure we talked to Quinn about this, like, on our last time we spoke to him. Liz and Julia, Shirley, Clear, Suri, and Jared, definitely as social players. I mean, Liz versus Suri is an interesting conversation in and of itself. Sorry, I'm rage baiting. Maybe it was random, but they didn't care if people switched. Perhaps. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, they weren't keeping track of that stuff. You overestimate how active Steve was. I can't see you playing as passive as Steve. Probably not, which means I'd get in more trouble, but, you know, there was a lot of targets there to get rid of. How was your relationship with Jared and Suri post the season? It's fine. I don't talk to them very much. Maybe worse after this AMA. I don't know. I think it's fine. No beef. For me, at least. I think I just got the mute off, right? Barely. I was trying. I thought I hit the mute button once, and apparently I missed it. But did you do any kind of prep? Yeah, some, not much. I don't think there's that much prep you can really do. You also never get confirmation. If you're told you're on the season with 2 months left, then I think people would prepare and watch more seasons. But if you're blue, it's like, why the fuck am I watching this show if I'm not even going to be on it? So I think that's a misguided thing production does. I think they should tell people they're going to be on the show earlier. I understand why they don't because of pre-gaming and stuff, but, like, maybe there's a middle ground there. Maybe give them a week or two, you know? In your opinion, the most underrated season? I think 18. I don't even like 11 that much, but it's definitely not bottom tier. I think it's kind of fun. But 18, I think I really, really enjoyed. I don't think it's thought of that highly. Old school, just give me better quizzes. I think the fact that every quiz is just watch a video, answer questions is lame. And then, yeah, Mafia did not help me. All right, what do we got? Just someone being nice, I guess. What do you see when you're in the DR? I did not expect to get questions like this, but there's a lot of, like, very basic, just Big Brother questions. But yeah, it's weird going to the DR because you are just talking to a person. So it's like, it feels weird. You'd think you go in there and give your confessionals. Really, you're having a conversation. And there's a live eviction. They determine where we sit and the order. The only times that really impacted me was, like, they called America and I in first once, where I was like, uh-oh. Like, clearly, we're not the deciding factor. We're not the ones up in the air. And then the other time was, like, during the Red and Jag vote, I think they called all of For Real last. Like, we were the last 7 to vote, or 6 to vote, or whatever it was. And I was like, okay. So on the show, they're acting like For Real is the decision makers, I guess, which I thought boded well. It maybe gave me a little bit of confidence, but I never got super... never made crazy decisions based on that kind of information. I think you're just as likely to come to the wrong conclusion than you are to come to the right conclusion. Okay, I have a question for you guys. I'm curious because I've been going back and forth on it. Do you think production asked questions or implied that America was targeting Suri and Izzy to Jared? Because, you know, he came out of the DR and said that. Or do you think Jared just made it up? Because I could see both. Like, Jared might have misinterpreted. I think it's more likely he just lied because he did that in the house. I think production made it up. I'm telling you, I could see both. Both of them make a ton of sense. But. And that week there was, like, America segments being anti, Suri and Izzy in them. So, like, I could see those questions coming up, you know. Rada Paul, I think I'm getting the vibe from chat. What else do we got? You see Julie on the main TV, not in the DR. From an audience perspective, it seemed like you went through a fair amount of personal growth. I just mean your mustache. Do you feel like you learned anything valuable about yourself? Yeah, again, I feel like the same person before and after the show. I don't think there was like some transformational journey there. I think I had a bit of a journey with intimacy. I had some problems before, and I feel in a healthier spot after. But obviously, I'm not going to, go too deep into that. But I think the main thing was like, just forcing yourself to be in social situations this much. I learned I was capable of it, even if I don't like it as much. Favorite conspiracy? I love jury pacts. I think it's so funny. Because, like, it's always a pact of, like, 5 or 6 people, and they always lie about it because it's so lame to admit you're in one. But, like, usually information comes out. That's about jury stuff. I thought Suri getting us extra wine was goat behavior from Suri. Even if she was really doing it for herself, like, we benefited from her wanting more wine. First meal, I had pesto pasta. It was like a pistachio or like some sort of nuts, like walnuts and bow tie pasta and pesto, and it was pretty good. And then I had loaded mac and cheese, which is kind of bad, but it's still good because it's just mac and cheese. It's only for the $10 Patreon tier. My sexual trauma. That might be a $15 tier. Wait, didn't Tucker have his like subs at like $25? Maybe that's what I should do. How funny would it be when I set up a PowerPoint? My trauma. Who's your favorite cast member for season 12? This is Matt Hoffman. Yeah. Matt was probably my favorite, but, I love Reagan. Brendan's the homie. How boring did it get in there? I was never bored. Even when, like, I was bored, I was grateful for being bored because I got to rest. Like, Zombie Week, I chilled a little bit more, which, like, obviously was bad, but, like, I wasn't bored. I was just, like, happy that I was being able to chill and vibe. I thought that was a very helpful thing for me. As a BB superfan, when did the experience set in? I said my first camera talk just when I was off the block. I was like, oh, I get to play the game for real. And then I felt good, and I was talking about, like, throwing the HOH classic Cory, which was a good call at that point, but, Do you think being a superfan makes it hard to be bored? Probably makes it harder, yeah. But also, like, people in the Big Brother house usually have such big personalities where, like, it's not that easy to get super bored. How tall are you? Because in the show they read you for your height. What would you guys say is the cutoff for short? Like, what do you think is average height? What's the shortest you can be? And you'd be like, they're average. For a guy, to be clear. I think it's like 5'8", probably. I think anything under 5'8" is like short. 5'8" to like 5'11" is like average, and then anything above 6 is pretty tall. 5'8", yeah, I think so. 5'6", oh, Jerry, you're like 5'3", aren't you? Poor guy. 6'4", if we were honest. Damn, Ryder. Shit. Are you on the Knicks? Like, which previous house guest have you had your opinion changed most on? Probably Taylor. I liked Taylor a lot before, but I just think it was playing from the bottom's hard, and you don't really know how hard it is till you're playing from the bottom. Um, any pop music from the pop girlies? I love Marina. You know, I didn't really know her much before the show. After the show, I'm a big fan. Lily Allen, I've recently been dabbling in, and Sabrina's just great. I listened to Juno again today. I'm like, what a song. I don't think you could say that word, chaotic. I think that is beyond outdated. So I'm gonna let it slide. Hey, you guys know how my chat works. One slur, chill. Once we get to 2 and 3, that's where problems start to arise. This is where chaotic comes out and says, I said narwhal. I meant to say narwhal. Narwhal. Remember when you called her overrated? How dare you? I think the album's overrated, but I still like it. A lot of questions. Someone plans on auditioning for BB28. If you're comfortable answering this, did you have PTSD after you left the house? So yeah, people talk about this a lot where like you play one of these like social strategic games. I've heard them say it's okay to refer as that, but my bad. I think it is like it's not a monolith, obviously, but like you go on these like deception shows and you come off and you can't trust people in your normal life. I never had that. I haven't heard like people I've talked to feel that, but like I could understand it, I guess. The social media part's hard. That's always going to be hard. But I don't think the trust is as big of a deal. Like I was still trusting people in the house after they betrayed me. Like maybe I'm just a trusting person. That probably helps, Katie. Questions you were asked as you progressed deeper into casting that you weren't expecting. Questions are predictable. Like, I'm the nerd. What players do you want to play like? What's your strategy? You know, I brought up certain strategies in previous interviews they asked me about. Basically, you submit like a packet with answers to questions and information and stuff, and then they usually ask you stuff from that packet. So, like, you kind of dictate what they ask you about, with some exceptions. Like, I'm sure America was asked a lot about showmances. So was Matt. So was Luke. So was Blue, probably, where I did not get as many of those questions. Snacks, food, did you request? Nothing. I'm not needy. Which is not a diss. I don't want to be a burden on production. Was America's game as disrespected in jury as it seemed in the house by some of the house guests? Like she was a jury goat. Her game was definitely flawed, but I feel like it was really weird how the house really gave her no credit. She was a huge part of the Izzy move and had great reads all season, way better than most of the house guests. Yeah, I would say it was disrespected in the jury. Like anything that she did well was probably attributed to me. I think the reads thing is like it's a mixed bag with everyone on the season. Like she wanted to work with Cameron for far too long in the game when he was turned hard against us, specifically me, which maybe you could say was still optimal for her, but it wasn't. Clearly, he wanted to work with Matt and Jag, and then Blue and Jag were obviously her blind spots. But like I had my Mimi and Bowie blind spots and certain blind spots to Izzy and Suri earlier in the game. But I just think like it always gets like kind of sad when you think about the jury votes. Like, does America beat Blue? Does America beat Bowie? And it's always dicey where it's like, will Matt ever vote for her? Will Cameron ever vote for her? Okay, well, it's a 7-person jury. She can't get those 2 votes. Would Felicia ever vote for her? It was just, there wasn't enough people who respected America as a person, let alone as a player, for her to have a good shot in a jury vote. She could beat some people, though. I mean, people thought she was a, like, actual player as opposed to someone like Bowie or Felicia. Who would want to be in a showmance with Luke? Oh my god, even both the slurry came off so weird to me. I don't think anyone wanted to be in a showmance with Luke. And if she ended up cutting me at any point, which she probably would have had to do to get to the end, I mean, I guess she could have gotten to the end, like, just me getting evicted like I did. Maybe she wins a comp or two. But if she cuts me, I think she wins. I think that would get, like, Cameron to vote for her, you know? Almost forgot to mute. You guys almost got some disgusting... How far would you go in the 50th Hunger Games? I would run away from the volcano to the forest, and then I'd probably die from some of the mutts, or like poisoning myself. If we went on normal noms, is Luke gone? Probably. You never know. He could have won the veto, I guess, but it probably would have been him and Kirsten, and I think Kirsten would have stayed. Life's been good. What type of law are you planning on practicing? I don't know. Hopefully I figure it out. Any additional insight into how the Luke situation was handled? Yeah, I want to talk about this. I thought this was a good question. I think the thing about the Luke situation that always kind of upset me was, like, I feel like I was gaslit pretty hard by some house guests and production. There was a whole segment I thought they were going to make about, like, Jared educating me on, like, issues of race, which, like, just because some people view Jared as, like, ignorant in some capacity, he still, like, has an experience of, like, being a black man that obviously I don't. So, like, I don't think that segment would have been totally out of pocket. I think it's more just, like, knowing the circumstances of how we all actually felt about Luke saying the N-word paint that whole situation in, like, a weird light. I firmly believe to this day that Heisem did not hear it. Say what you will about Heisem, he would not come back in the room and start praising Luke after that. Like, that's, come on. First of all, he's not stupid, and second of all, he's not hateful. So, I believe that. I know some people are very skeptical, but I believe that. And I like go into the DR, and I'm kind of a wreck. I'm like, guys, did I do something wrong? And they're not reassuring me at all. And I'm like, am I like canceled? Frankly, like I don't. It's funny because like I didn't do anything wrong, and I kind of knew that. But I was like, why is everyone reacting this way? And I'm very grateful to Suri. As much as, you know, I sometimes criticize her game or other stuff, like, she was very sweet in that moment. And Jag was awesome. He was so nice. But, and to be fair, Jared wasn't, like, a dick. It was just, like, I feel like they were trying to build this narrative that was just totally fake. And it was, like, what should have happened is Alison Grodner on the PA should have described what happened and then been like, you guys can talk about it for like 15 minutes and then stop talking about it, which is like what they did with Matt in that competition that he had trouble competing in because, of course, it was a listening competition. But instead, they're like, okay, guys, whoever was in the room, feel free to discuss the issue. Just don't say the N-word. And I was like, okay. So I'm silent. I'm like, all right, let's see if anyone's going to speak up. No one did. And I'm like, okay, well, now I guess I'll do it. And that started everything. And I was like, what the fuck? And, like, after that, Jared and Heisem are acting like they're doing me a favor by forgiving me and being willing to work with me and not nominate me. And I'm like, really? Like, you have to understand, like, in the moment at that time, I don't have, like, the clarity that I do now, where I do feel like I need to apologize. And even, like, much later in the season, I'm talking about, like, clumsily dealing with the situation. I don't think I dealt with it clumsily. I think I was actually pretty fucking delicate. And the edit was fine. The edit was totally reasonable. If anything, it probably showed Jared in a pretty negative light, which I actually, like, I kind of feel like it's fair to defend Jared in some capacity in that conversation. Like, being the only black person in that room, Luke says the N-word, Heisem and I dip. Like, if Jared doesn't want to castigate Luke, that's his prerogative. He's playing a game. Like, I think criticizing him solely for that is tough. If you want to couple that with, like, all the other Jared stuff, like, maybe you can paint a bigger picture, but I didn't, you know. Like, it's not up to me to decide what's appropriate for him to do in that spot, you know. So, I just think it's a complicated situation, and I just felt like it was not handled well by production at all. I'm glad they ejected him, and I'm glad the edit was good, but, like, I was not doing okay in that house for a few weeks. Fortunately, Heisem wins HOH, which kind of made me have to play really hard immediately, so I couldn't dwell on it. But what are you going to do? You had to go to bed? Was I wrong? Not a BB related, but once upon a time, I was a speech and debate coach and gave you a 2 in finals at Harvard. Bullshit. I won that round. I'm pissed. I was so much better than everyone else in that one round. I tied for first, and then I lost the tiebreaker. But the year before, I tied for first and won the tiebreaker, so I guess it goes around. Comes around. From everyone in the jury phase, plus Matt and Jag, can you please list left to right who would you vote for if they reach the final 2? Of course. I said America first. Hey, you guys know I'm an America first kind of guy. 2 is too bad. No, 2 is good, but I should have gotten the 1. Jag, Matt, Suri, Bowie, Blue, Felicia, Cam. I think. I don't think I'd vote for Cam over anybody. I don't think I'd vote for Felicia over Blue. I think even, like, I would view Blue, if she made it to the final 2, like MJ. Like, I think you're a really bad player, but at least you were trying really hard. I appreciate it. And then the Suri thing is, like, I just obviously didn't perceive her as having any agency in the second half of the game. Thanks, Kristen. I appreciate it. Thanks for the 18 months. A year and a half. That's crazy. The way if Matt wasn't such a horrible person, his social game would be so much more talked about. I think his social game is so dramatically overrated. Like, it's good. It's really good. But also it's the reason why no one has any respect for him. So it's like, at what cost is your social game good? The reason I'll give Matt credit is, like, he does beat a lot of people in the end game, basically everyone but Jag. Tell that to Terran. I think Terran's kind of come around on that, especially postseason after Matt lost. I think there's a lot of reasons why Matt lost. The thing is, you could also come up with a lot of reasons why Jag should have lost, you know? So losing final 2 would have caused a riot on the internet. I don't care. It's not my responsibility. But yeah, I'm kind of glad that didn't happen. That would have been annoying to deal with. I'm going through it. Your deep dive with Terran, I feel like you convinced him on Jag. I think I explained effectively why I voted for Jag, but I don't think I changed his perspective on Jag as a player. People were certain that you would get jury to vote for Suri. Who the fuck would I convince of anything? Of the jurors, who do you think I was most likely to convince? Okay, America, I guess, but America and I never agreed on anything in the game. Like, who could I have convinced? Is Cameron, Blue, Suri, Felicia? Like, these people are fucking listening to me? But your brother was really convinced that you'd be pro Suri. I think that's a misguide. I mean, I wasn't anti-Suri in jury. It was just, you know. You thought you were going to run that jury like the Navy? But it's not just like the jury. It's like there's people on the jury who have like specific perspectives. Like, I can't convince them of anything. You definitely would have convinced Suri to vote for Suri. Yeah, like, Suri's not going to fucking listen to me either. Like, how do you feel when you found out Suri and Jared were related? Did you feel like you never really stood a chance to win? I think what's funny is, like, I beat those odds. Like, I overcame that. It was just, like, I basically think, like, in retrospect, I got to choose the winner between Jag and Jared. Or maybe Jag and Suri, but probably Jag and Jared. Like, I don't think there's a path you can imagine where I make it to the end. So it's like, all right, I guess I'm happier with how it worked out. I think people underestimate how bitter people would have been if, like, I don't flip. First of all, they'd be pissed at me for not flipping. That'd be, like, the same people who say my flip was stupid were the same people begging for me to flip, right? But, like, I think if that season, if Suri, Jared, and Izzy never got broken up and then Jared won, I think it would be viewed as like a massive asterisk and like a joke of a season. As opposed to what it is, which is kind of like a massive asterisk and a joke of a season, but I prefer the version we got. You actually got so lucky with the shit you said to Jared about Suri. It could have gone absolutely horrible. I mean, it's a mix between luck and being careful. Like, I was trying to work with Suri, and Jared made it pretty clear to me that he wanted to work with Suri and Izzy. Like, I think I brought up one time, like, building out another option with, like, Blue in America, and he shut it down hard. And at that point, I knew to not talk negatively about Suri to Jared. Frankly, he would talk more negative about her to me. So, yeah. Which is funny, because, of course, that's mom. Get fucked. Loser. Your and America's relationship is one of my favorite things. Woohoo! It seemed like America definitely caught feelings for you first. Is that actually how it happened, or were you secretly crushing on her right away? Definitely not right away. I didn't know her for a while. Like it took like a week and a half for me to actually know her. I think we liked each other kind of at the same time. I think I'm just more reserved, and she's a little bit more forward. So I think that's what caused that perception. Are you still interested in being on The Amazing Grace? And hypothetically, who would be more upset to not be there as your partner on the show, America or Zach? Zach would definitely be more upset. Yeah, it's just a fun opportunity. You don't say no. I think I'd rather do it with Zach just because it would mean a lot more to Zach, I think, than America. Just because obviously America's got stuff going on, and she, even just in Big Brother, had a full ass 86 days, whereas Zach, I think he deserves to have a real experience. My question, which season do you think you and America would come closest to winning? I said 17. I think America would do great on 18. You know all those clips of like Paul, Victor, Cory, James like making fun of Nicole and teasing, and like it was a very fun house while there was still a lot of strategy going on. I think she could have been in that Natalie spot, maybe not with James, but she could have been in that spot and just been a better player, right? So, do you plan on covering 27? For sure. Will you be doing live feed updates? Yeah, I don't know if it'll be like weekly or if it'll be every now and then, or if it'll. I don't know, but I'll do something. What were the most funny, intriguing, difficult things you learned? Yeah, the Matt shit talking was probably the biggest blindside, just because like you could see it with like Cam, Jared, and Blue. Like that wasn't that surprising. Because a lot of like some of it was out there, and we found out Matt was a total blind spot. I don't know why people hid Matt's shit talking from us. Like I get they were all loyal to Matt. I mean, I guess that's why, right? They were loyal to Matt, so they didn't want to throw him under the bus. But that was a shocker. Suri and Jared was, of course, the biggest shocker. And then the Bowie. I think losing Bowie's loyalty was a total mistake, and it was poor play. And also, it didn't matter because if I was winning the comps, she would have been with us. So I guess the whole point is like I wasn't going to win the comp, so you had to make sure she was with you regardless. But like Bowie just does what's not going to get her evicted, and she was always going to choose Matt and Jag over us with perfect social play. I don't think it matters. Like Suri couldn't get Bowie back on her side. Like the fuck could I do? I need more tissues. 1 second. I'm gonna stream till America gets back from the gym. So, what's your opinion on the worst twist in BB history? I think it's Camp Comeback. Battle of the Block was terrible, but like at least it's just a different format. Camp Comeback was like conceptually it was terrible. What's up, America? You at the gym? How much time do you think you got left? Because I'm planning on getting off and watching Love Island when you get back. Do you think Helen was pushed in 5? Gotcha. I thought this was so funny. Like, y'all think they didn't want Helen to be HOH? They were probably praying for a Helen HOH. They were trying to, like, pull her back on the wall. Even though Helen and Aaron were kind of working together pretty close, which is like, whatever. If you go back in time with all the knowledge you currently have, how would you navigate your season? I think if I knew the Jared Suri secret, I could have won the game. At least at the start. Like, if I found out week 2 or 3, I think I could win the game. then I think it makes sense to stick with Jared and Suri because you're playing with that knowledge and you could like use that to turn Izzy on them, right? Izzy, are they acting like you're the only one who know? No, I know too. We've been talking the whole time, me, Suri, and Jared. So they're playing both of us against each other. That's crazy. Well, now that we both know, like, that would have been a real path there, and I could have tried to, work on Mimi and work on Bowie and carve out a winning path there, but I didn't know, so what are you going to do? Modern day couples communicate through Twitch chat, that's what I'm saying. So that would have been the big thing. And then the other thing is just getting, Jag to love me even more. And that's why, like, I don't have that many regrets. Like, y'all, I got Jag to target I got Jag to. One way or another, Jag targeted everybody before me. He targeted Cam before me. He targeted Mimi before me. Even targeted Blue before me. Targeted Jared before me. I was the only option left by the time he targeted me. So, like, I think my shelf life with Jag was as long as it possibly could have been. But if I kissed ass more, maybe he puts up, like, Suri in that final 8, and I have a chance. Because I know he was considering it, but, she'd still choose Suri and Jared. I don't think she would if she found out Suri was actively lying to her, On a scale of 1 to 10, how cool do you think America was at first versus how cool do you think she is now? Yeah, she's pretty good at Mario Kart. She wasn't lying about that. Hey, I have some notes for her for sure, but she's pretty good. Asking me about The Amazing Race. Yeah, I've talked about this before. I think the reason people are somewhat bitter about the casting process is, like, you just get lied to a lot. And it's not just about, like, the nature of the season. It's just, like, how things are going. And I get why people are upset. I also understand why casuals or just, like, fans are like, why are these people upset? They've already been on a show. Just because they've never faced rejection. I understand that perspective, too. It's like, I don't know. I think empathy is usually the better answer than trying to be like, wow, New Mario Kart coming, new strats incoming. It kind of looks ass, but I'll give it a chance. If you could compete with America, we talked about this question. We always used AmeriCorps. We never really referred to ourselves as Core America that much. My Mount Rushmore as players would be Dan, Cody, and then Derek, Andy, Nicole. I would probably leave out Andy just because of the nature of 15. I don't know how to exactly separate his gameplay from the nature of the season. But as figures, I don't think there's, like, who would be number 5 in terms of just, like, the biggest figures in Big Brother history? I don't think it's close. Like, honestly, is it, like, Paul? Probably not. Is it Danielle? Jeff? Is it not just Boogie? It's not Boogie. Boogie only had one real season. I understand Chilltown is such a big deal, but, like, I don't think so. After watching stuff on TV, is there anything you'd say do differently? No, I mean, not too much. There's some comments that I was like, it's probably clumsily worded. I don't think there'll be more gay or bisexual players. We have a big sample size of, we know how they cast these things. And yeah, I'd like to meet Tyler. He'd be fun. He's got a whole ass child to raise, though. I don't expect him to be at a ton of events. How much do you hold it over Zach's head that you beat him? That would be batshit crazy if I did that, right? I think Zach got unlucky. I think he's he has the tools to be a pretty good player. At least I think better in Big Brother than Survivor, frankly. Just because Survivor, there is something pretty important about being like a physical specimen in that pre-merge, especially as a guy. Other than America, who are you close with? Yeah, Riley, too. I should have mentioned Riley. Do you ever get the feeling production didn't like you in America? I just think people are wrong about that. I think they didn't like America because in their head, America caused so many problems by being harassed, essentially. I did not get the impression they disliked me at all. I thought that one, like, edit of me covering my mouth so Matt couldn't hear what I was saying was so disingenuous. And if Matt wants to feel that way, like, that's his prerogative. I'm sure there's a lot of frustrations in regards to whispering in that house, and I get why he'd be annoyed, but, like, just the fucking audacity of Matt to feel like I'm treating him unfairly. I just thought that was ridiculous. And I thought that was a super uncharitable bit of storytelling. Like that felt like he was, that just felt stupid. And I think the fact they included that in the episode was pretty bullshit. Felt like he was looking for an excuse to target you. I don't want to totally like discount what he's saying. Like if that's how he felt, like it's fine. It's just like, dude, what? I'm not Jared. I'm not like, come on. I was having a private conversation with Felicia. It has nothing to do with you. Maybe we were talking about targeting you, but like, just because you need to read lips, like I wasn't trying. Like Matt wasn't sitting right there. He's across the backyard. I was trying to not have people hear my conversation, so I'm gonna whisper. Because it's not just Matt in the house. There's a lot of other people in the house, too. I don't want to hear that conversation. Even me saying that, I feel like there's something wrong about what I'm saying. But I don't... You know? Like, it's not like me sitting there in the same room as Matt whispering about my secret brother in the house. Like, I don't know. But in general, I thought I got a good edit. Like... I was under-edited at the start, like everyone was, except for Cameron and Suri. But in that middle game, I had the most confessionals by like a large margin from weeks like 5 to Zombie Week. And then, you know, it became the Jag show, which was about accurate for the show. And yeah, they gave me a dodo edit a little bit in my boot week, but like they do that for everyone, first of all. And I liked how they edited me, frankly. Like they showed I was targeting Matt and Jag. They made me look a little bit arrogant in terms of like, oh my God, Cory thinks he's so smart targeting Matt and Jag when really they're targeting him. But like, I appreciated them showing that because it showed I wasn't wrong. You know, like it'd be much more embarrassing if I was like, Matt and Jag are on my side. Like that's the Heisem thing, where Heisem was talking about how easy of a week it would be, you know? Didn't you look at him at BB26 premiere so you could see what you were saying even when you hated him? I mean, maybe. If I talk to him at the 26 premiere, I like, just because I dislike Matt doesn't mean I'm going to try to, like, fuck up his ability to communicate. Like, yeah. Yeah. When are you and Quinn going to be on The Amazing Race together? Me doing The Amazing Race seems unlikely. I'm too big time for that. I forget some people don't get sarcasm. They have to explain it in their replies. Top 5 favorite winners? Oh my God. Uh-oh. A Brit. We have to get rid of him. How disgusting was the toilet? The bathroom situation in Big Brother's fine. I don't know. I think you'd be surprised. It's not a big deal. You ever have a fear or worry that you would step outside the house and be disliked? The Luke situation worried me. Then I get Path to Power, which made me feel better. And that was a few weeks after. And then my Zing made me feel really comfortable. Where I was like, all right, I'm probably getting a reasonably big edit. But... you know, what's up, Alex? I was like, yeah, I'm probably getting a reasonably good edit, at least for the casuals. We'll do like 2 or 3 more questions. Is this cats, Alex? I like phrasing it like that. Top 5 Charlie songs. Just how I'm feeling now, for sure. So just played in a season with Suri. What other player from other franchises would do well on Big Brother? I think Sarah Lacina would be the best Big Brother player of all time, which is kind of funny. Maybe gets bitter juried a little bit, but I would doubt it. Kim Spradlin, of course, is an obvious choice, and Boston Rob would do very well. Would do very well. Can you give a DR sessions anytime you please? You can, but they're not going to use it because they have a plan of what they want to show, and if it doesn't include you coming to the DR at that time, they don't give a shit what you want to say. But if you wanted to, you could probably force your way in there. Not to mention, they're always kind of interviewing people, so like it's kind of rare when no one's being interviewed. How would your game change if Suri wasn't on your season? It's a fun thought experiment. I think Family Style would obviously do a lot better. Jared wouldn't have huge incentive to flip or anything. I think Cam and Red at some point would try to form their group with like Bowie and, Matt and like whatever middle group they were trying to make, and then they'd fail because they suck. But I do think Jag still has a great chance of winning. Probably he has a better chance of winning and playing a good game. Matt would still have a good chance. Riley wouldn't be as dead in the water, but she's still probably in trouble with a Heisem HOH. I'd work with Izzy, so maybe, we'd figure something out. It's Cats, Alex. But you're so much more than that, Alex. Also, when you say game, is it always COD? I feel like we have to broaden the horizons of what games we're playing. Second chances season, who do you want to... This is the most common question. On All-Stars 3, second chances, who do you want to play with? I'm like, I don't know. How'd it feel to say beat Isaac? It felt good. Because I also was close to getting evicted week 1, so it was like a bit of a celebratory moment. I want to go call out Quinn on his stream. I appreciate you calling out Quinn and not me, even though I'm guilty of the same crimes. You voted for Red when he went home, not Jag, right? Red. Does it still look like I'm saying Jag? Red. I don't know. They said the same thing with Riley and Cameron. I called him and you out on his stream. Good. Keep the call-outs on his stream, not mine, okay? On mine, let's just vibe, Let's just hang. Post BB, how often do you do fan events? Yeah. A few of them a year. Maybe 4. This is funny. Just a quick question, Cory. 9 questions. Yeah, this is another thing that, like, I want to be on the record disproving this. Because I think Claire said it, of, like, you film a positive and a negative version of the goodbye message. And I'm sure that comes from a real experience that Kat had. But no, that doesn't happen. That's weird. I don't, like, that's something that the fans have just, like, they heard it once and were like, let's go. Got it. No, that doesn't happen. That'd be so weird. OKC's going to crush Indiana. But I think Indiana will win a game or two. OKC's kind of unreliable with their spot-up shooting and shot creation in general outside of Shea. But in general, like, you just record your goodbye messages, and then sometimes they're like, can we make a shorter version of that? Like, can you cut that down? Because we can't show all that. And they have the power to edit what they want, but, like, isn't it kind of from America's Jared message? I don't know what you mean. I mean, you don't record a positive and a negative version. You record what you want to say. But I'm sure maybe one, like, DR producer was just kind of silly with it. Thanks, Night Cheese, for gifting Living with Alex. There you go. No more ads for you. What a moment. All right, last question before I go, because I am dying, as you guys could probably hear. The goodbye messages are longer and edited. Yes, but, like, they can't deep fake you into saying anything. Like, the words you say are shown. Oh, you could film a couple of versions. You could film as many versions you want. The problem is, if you do that, you are at the mercy of the producers picking which one they want, which is why I would always, like, only give them versions I was very comfortable with them showing. Was ever a point during your time in the house you thought America was totally playing you? No. Maybe at the very start. I think at the very start, I might have felt that way a little bit, just because, like, we weren't even that close, so who knows. But later on in the season, I just became worried that, like, if we were on the block together, will she turn on me and campaign hard? Not that I was being played and she would target me or anything, but I was like, maybe I should tell other people my survivor secret in case I end up on the block with America and she tries throwing me under the bus. You know, like that was a thought in my head. And also, like, will she cut me at the final 5-4-3? It was always in the back of my mind, but I always had bigger issues than America cutting me. Like, it was not top of mind. Last question to answer. I've watched a little bit of Devil's Plan. What's a good one? Rune Princess. Wait a second. What advice would I give to future house guests? Kind of boring. I mean, I basically just understand that the community you're walking into is a little bit much, so don't. Just make sure you conduct yourself the way you'd want to conduct yourself. I've talked about this a lot. I think age is a drastically overrated thing in the house. I don't think age is super important. I think if you're like much older than a lot of the cast, that could be problematic in terms of like integrating into the house. Yeah, promoted to queen since then. Good for you. I think it would be tough, like just being socially integrated, going to bed earlier sucks. So there's a lot of problems with being older. Being younger, like you'll fit in with the 25-year-olds as a 21-year-old. You know what I mean? Even 30-year-olds, like you're all in a similar age bracket. The problem is if you look like me, sometimes you could come across like schemy. But if I was 25 and looked like I did, I still think it'd be the same problem. I think the only time where like being young is really a problem is if you're young and like pretty passive, and then people might view you as like Annalise, but I don't know. It's also much worse if you're a boy, I think. 21-year-old woman, like no one views that person as like a child. Whereas a 21-year-old boy, they're like, oh, he's fresh out of college, you know, like I think that's a difference. But like Felicia was 63 and she was not prepared to be in that house. Angela was not prepared. Suri was not prepared. Heisen was not prepared. Like you can't be prepared for it, whether you're 21 or 80. Like it's a weird experience that no one's life experience prepares them for this. In general, having life experience is a positive thing. I don't want to act like it's nothing, but like I think it's overstated. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I was late. Was I late or did I get it? The whole stream I thought I got him. So close. Fuck. All right. Well, that'll do it for stream. I was gonna do big D attempts, but it's just I'm fucking dying here, to be honest. Is anyone live to raid? Benadryl time. It's like alcohol and gummies time. I just gotta wake up tomorrow. Quinn. All right, we'll raid him. Puya. I'll raid Puya. I raid Quinn every day. All right, tell Puya I say hi. Boo, Quinn. Hey, you guys have agency. You can go say hi to him too. All right. Have fun, y'all. Tell Puya I say hi. Bye-bye, y'all. Bye-bye.